Booktube, Science Fiction Reads here, back with the second half of the highlight of the year, the biggest book haul with the best finds. The last video we did short story collections and anthologies, and I think that was like 40 minutes, nearly. So this probably won't be as long, but probably, for me anyways, has more exciting finds, other than the Harlan Ellison, which was obviously pretty cool. So let's get into it. I've got a mix of hardcovers and paperbacks here, mostly all vintage SF. I have some Ace doubles. Master of Life and Death, Robert Silverberg. And on the other side, a James White, The Secret Visitors. I don't know if I'll keep this one. I just kind of threw it in with some others, but the others I have coming up are of more interest. These are from this is from 1957. Excellent art. Next Stop the Stars, which I think is short stories. Somebody, maybe Richard, recently read this, and I saw the cover art and knew if I ever came across it, I would be snatching it up. And another Silverberg on the other side. Ace doubles, I mean, get a lot of hate, and I also do not so much like them. I don't know why. I love old DAWs. I'm not big on the flipping around thing, but they're still neat, and, you know, vintage is awesome. There may be another one somewhere, but I have this. This is one I've wanted for a while. Steve the Outlaw Bookseller has talked about this in the past and really got me excited for this one, and I finally found it. The Man in the Maze, about, well, the outcast. Muller had been sent to spy on the first alien race mankind had ever encountered. Discovered, he had been cursed by them with a terrible power that made his presence unbearable to his fellow human beings. Embittered, he'd chosen to live out his life in an abandoned city of murderous mazes on a long-dead planet. But now men must enter Muller's deadly labyrinth and lure him out, for his dreadful power has made him the only man capable of communicating with still another terrifying race of alien beings. Hell yeah. I have to read this. And I finally have it. I wish it was in a little better shape. It's an Avon from 1969. At one point was sold in Refresher Book. We buy, sell, trade paperbacks on 318 Front Street, but no city, so I don't know where that was. It's got the colored text block. I am super happy to have found this. And then a book I have as an ace, but not an ace double, Edmund Hamilton's The Sun Smashers. I like Edmund Hamilton. But recently, Secret Fire Books just reviewed this, and to his dismay, he said every story was basically the same. He said the first one, Sun Smashers, was worth reading. But is this actually the same collection, or is it just the first story? I'm not sure. This could just be the first actual story, Sun Smashers. Again, I don't always do enough homework. The other side, we have Starhaven by Ivar Jorgensen, which is a pseudonym for several authors. This could be Robert Silverberg. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. And I have some more of those coming up at some point. This actually came in the mail. I talked about this recently. It's Frank M. Robinson's The Power by Bantam Books, is it not? Yeah. This is something I wanted after coming across this author recently. It's the story of a man who realizes one of his coworkers has telepathic powers, and when he starts looking into it, his life starts falling apart and people start dying around him. The cover art is awesome. The book looks great. We don't have credit for the cover art, unfortunately. The best sellers come from Bantam Books. Look for the Bantam Rooster, your assurance of quality. I've never seen that before. I like that. So looking forward to checking that out sometime. Likewise, Philip Jose Farmer, A Private Cosmos. I got this at a thrift store recently. Is this from his Worlds of Terra? Or Worlds of Tear, yeah. World of Tears series, yeah. It's one I don't have. 10 from Infinity, Ivar Jorgensen. I find it so weird that they would publish an actual paperback under a pseudonym like that. I don't know who this is. Maybe Silverberg? The Barsoom Project by Larry Niven and Stephen Barnes. I had this once and got rid of it. Then I realized I really wanted to read Dream Park, which I got a nice book club edition of recently. And this is the sequel to it. So that'll go with my 1,000 other Larry Niven books. And similar to that, looks like I paid $4 for this. I don't think I did. I think I just put it in this plastic. Ringworld by Larry Niven. I think this is a first edition, third printing. I have to confirm that. This is one I wanted a long time, this edition. I kind of wanted it in hardcover. I don't know if it's a first edition hardcover or first edition hardcover or a book club edition that has this same cover art, but this is maybe my favorite cover art for the Ringworld, even though when you look at the actual scenery, it's totally backwards. That, you know, that should be a landscape there, not, you know, you shouldn't see the sky. The perspective is all wrong, which is actually frustrating, but from far back, I think that's an awesome picture. Let me just confirm. I'm pretty sure it is a first edition, third printing. It's certainly a third printing. The cover art is by Dean Ellis. One of my favorite books, even though I think I really only rate it a 3 out of 5. But I have, well, this is my third copy now. I don't know if I'll keep this or sell it because I'm much more fond, actually, of these liveries. Like, I have all of these now. So this is the Ringworld I have. I don't like the cover art as much, but I don't know. Maybe I'll keep this, maybe not. But one of the more exciting finds. And we have another ace double, Planet of Exile, Ursula K. Le Guin. Really nice illustration. And Thomas M. Dish, Mankind Under the Leash. I don't hold a lot of promise for an ace novella. I think the authors kind of just pumped these out. Although, you know, Ursula K. Le Guin's usually pretty good. But I do want to read more Thomas M. Dish after reading The Genocides, which just absolutely blew me away. And I'm trying to find books in a similar vein. Either, you know, something like Earth Abides and The Genocides. I think I got No Blade of Grass coming in the mail. Or not in the mail, I bought that from the bookstore in Pluto. And there's something else that Richard recommended. I'll have to ask him to remind me. Or maybe that's the book he was talking about. But yeah, Thomas M. Dish and George R. Stewart in Earth Abides really put me in a weird place that I really enjoyed, like a weird post-apocalypse kind of. I really enjoyed those. Here's a couple doubles. I bought these in hopes they'd be in better condition than what I have. Arthur C. Clarke, The City and the Stars. Read a long time ago. This is one of those signets. I love these old thin signets that are Clarke books. I have a bunch. I don't think this was in better shape, so I'll pass that on. This is Fritz Leiber, Swords and Deviltry. It was in better shape, so it's on my shelf. This is the one I replaced. I just bought this from the bookstore on Pluto, but yeah, the other one's in better shape. The first of the Fawford and Grey Mouser books, which I look forward to reading. Probably not for a while, though, because we just read the best of Fritz Leiber. Another one I got from a thrift store yesterday, no, 2 days ago. Robert A. Heinlein, Between Planets. I don't know if I have this. I have probably 50 Heinlein books in a box. Never read a single book by him. Eventually I will. I didn't recognize this title, so I don't think I have it. Quickly gotta power up with some Tim Hortons. Total random here. I don't know much about this. It's an Arrow book. Sam J. Lundwall, Alice's World. I believe 50,000 years in the future, humanity returns to Earth only to find that Earth is running amok with every creature and location from humanity's imagination in the past. So that's why you have a Pegasus and other fantastical elements running around on Earth. Sounds interesting, but never heard of it. Let's do some Lynn Carter. I don't think I've read any Lynn Carter. I think it was Grammaticus just did a great video about a Lynn Carter book, but he went a little into detail on Lynn Carter, which I loved. An interesting guy. Some would say a hack. Who there was another author Grammaticus mentioned who said, you know, you write in, you know, the style of Robert Howard or the style of Jack Vance. How come, when are you going to write a Lynn Carter book? And he just stared at him like it never occurred to him to try. Like, that's not what Lynn Carter does. It's like does pastiches and things. So I don't know. I picked up a couple of these for $1. Why not? This is Golden City's Far. And it's like brand new. Never cracked the spine. I believe it's stories of myth, ancient and modern, that have notes on them by Carter or something. I don't know. There's a couple Lynn Carter series I've been collecting just because I love the cover art, and they're in the style of like Edgar Rice Burroughs, which would be fun to read, you know, on a rainy day. Much like today, if the lighting is shitty, it's because it's overcast and raining. Another collection, Imaginary Worlds. I don't think I'll keep this one. The next one, however, is a nice condition DAW. It's Lost Worlds. Awesome cover illustration. Awesome spine. It's not even color faded, let alone cracked. It feels like it's never been opened. And of course, with a DAW book, you almost always get an illustration in the front. And the cool thing about this is there's some stories set in Hyperborea. I don't know if that means in Clark Ashton Smith's Hyperborea, but that would be pretty cool. Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis. Yeah, I think he's just writing stories in other people's worlds for the most part, which sounds like Lynn Carter. I don't know. Do we have a credit for the cover art? I don't think so. Oh, cover art by Enric. Literally just says Enric. And it's a first edition from 1980. But I mean, come on. It looks like the girl on the back with the white hair looks like C.J. Cherry's Morgaine, who also rides a horse, carries a sword, and is not afraid to, you know, cut a head off and carry it around. So I was happy to find that, even though, you know, it's a total random, but it's beautiful. Can't pass up a nice DAW. A David Gerald, Yesterday's Children, A Conceptual Journey into War. I think it's a Dell book. Not one I'll probably keep. After I got home and read about it, I do love the text block. It's basically a military SF from the looks of it, and I'm just not interested. First printing, July 1972. Looks cool. Don't think I'll read it. Fred Hoyle, The Black Cloud. I only picked it up in case it was in better shape than the one I have. It's not. The one I have is even older and really great shape. This is one I want to read. I also have a collection from Fred Hoyle called Element 79, I believe, something like that. That a friend got me when he was in Alberta at a bookstore and sent me pictures. And I downloaded all the pictures, circled the science fiction books I wanted, sent them back, and he came home on a plane with like 30 science fiction books. And one of them was that collection from Fred Hoyle. So that I'll pass on. I have a Masterworks here, Connie Willis, To Say Nothing of the Dog. Unfortunately, it is spine cracked, peeling. It has not been treated well. I'm not sure I'll keep it, especially since a vintage paperback, well, not vintage, but an older paperback would probably take up less space on a bookshelf. All right, let's do some hardcovers. I have Quantico by Greg Bear. Not something I would ever buy in hardcover, but this one was signed. Greg Bear, of course, recently passed. I absolutely love most of what I've read by him. Other stuff, not so much. I do not get along with his short stories, but cool to have some signed stuff. I don't think I'll keep it. I also have his Vitals signed. It's pretty nice. Probably will pass them along to someone who will appreciate them more than me. I have here a Folio Society, The Odyssey. I do have a collection of Folio Society history books, but that I'll probably move along to fund further science fiction purchases. So in the previous video, I mentioned how I got spotted in the wild for the first time as Matt from Science Fiction Reads by a very nice guy named Brian. And when we were in there looking through the books, he recommended Robert E. Howard's The Hour of the Dragon, which I think is the only novel that Howard wrote about Conan. So I scooped that up as his recommendation, but then I did get home and realize, oh yeah, I recently bought the omnibus that has, you know, all the Conan stuff. So while this is a nice condition book club edition, I'll probably pass it along to somebody who would appreciate it more than me. Or I'll put it in a box, because when I finally get to reading it, it might turn out that I absolutely love it and would love to have this nice hardcover with this awesome cover art. A book club from 77, but no info on the cover artist. I think we do have a illustration here though, which is pretty cool. Now I also mentioned in the last video, I recommended a book to Brian that he passed on, Pauline Gedge. The only science fiction she wrote, I believe, Stargate, one of my all-time favorite novels. This has nothing to do with the Stargate franchise. It came out a couple years before that. Yeah, when was this first published? 1982. I have a beautiful book club edition of this. It's amazing. This is one of the most beautiful and tragic books I've ever read. It's a science fantasy. There are godlike creatures trying to keep their different individual worlds of humanity alive after a cosmic threat is kind of taking out each god and their world one by one. And it's really just a book on loss, and it went in directions I did not expect. At times I thought, I'm not going to like this, but actually it was one of the most just heartbreaking and emotional reads I've ever read. So I picked it up to pass along to a friend, or maybe use it as a reader copy when I want to reread this, because it's been a couple years now. I can preserve my hardcover and just read this, but more than likely I will pass this along to somebody. And I would love to buddy read it sometime with a couple people maybe. I know Ira has it because I see it in the background of his videos. Maybe if Richard doesn't have it, I'll send it his way. So another, like a great condition old paperback, Harry Harrison's Winter in Eden by Grafton. I need to dig through my boxes and find this, because I'm sure I have it, but I doubt it's in this good condition. This Eden trilogy, this is book 2, the West of Eden trilogy, was recommended to me by Brandy at the Book Eclectic. And I had one at the time when she recommended them, so I picked the other 2 up, but this is really nice. I'm sure it'll replace whatever copy I have. Some Philip Jose Farmer here. River World and Other Stories. I forgot I had this, so I won't be keeping that. But Gods of River World I did not have. Now, I think it was like 2 years ago I read the first 2, To Your Scattered Bodies Go and The Fabulous Riverboat. I did not care for Fabulous Riverboat so much. It was more about a race war than exploring this crazy world that everyone has found themselves in. To Your Scattered Bodies Go was better. It's similar to John Barley's Titan in that you have characters on this strange world exploring it. But yeah, in the second book, there was just not much exploring going on. I was not really into it. But I do want to read the Riverworld series at some point to completion and find out what the hell's at the end of that river. So, another Jose Farmer here. Probably the less said about that, the better. Imagine spending your lunch money on that in the 70s, and I don't know. Oh, I have a couple CJ chairs here. I was just talking about these books. I read these early on. There's 4, the Morgaine books. I love this character. I think if I reread them, they probably wouldn't be all that special. But I read them early on in my science fiction fantasy journey, and I really enjoyed them. So I picked them up in case they end up being in better shape than what I have. I think this one was in better shape, so this is actually the one I already had. The one I got at the sale had basically same condition in every way except the spine was not faded. Similar to that, Gate of Ivral, which is some of my favorite cover art of all time. It's in better shape, but it's also signed maybe by CJ Cherryh. Keep in mind the H in her name is only used for her books. She added that to, sound more exotic and science fiction-y, according to Wikipedia. So while this is her name, any other signed books I've looked up on eBay, she's written it in cursive with the H usually. So I don't know if it's signed. Personally, I don't care. If it is signed, that would be cool because, I love these books and they were some of my first, and they influenced my further reading and really got me excited about my journey in reading early on. So that will probably replace the one I have, and I'll just tell myself, yeah, that's signed. Some hardcovers here. Colin Wilson, Poltergeist, A Study in Destructive Haunting. I don't know much about this. Stephen A. Andrews has recommended it to me. I'm more excited about the next one coming up, but it's cool to find some Colin Wilson. Looks like somebody had a checklist here of the Colin Wilson they had. I've only read his, what have I read? 3 of his Spider-World books. He came out with a 4th years later. He wrote them as a bet that he couldn't write a children's book, but they turned it to, an adult, far future, people living amongst giant arachnids and things. It was not a children's book. I enjoyed them, but he's much better known for other stuff. So this came out in '81, published by New English Library. So I think this is a first edition. So that's neat. I'm a little more excited to check out this because it's science fiction. Colin Wilson, The Space Vampires. A tour de force of science fantasy. Let me read the synopsis here. I might read this soon, and if I don't like it, pass it on. But it just sounded interesting. Far out in the asteroid belt is discovered a colossal 50-mile-long spaceship. Tentative investigations of its unthinkably vast Gothic interior reveal a number of humanoids in a state of suspended animation. 3 are brought back to Earth and discovered to be vampires, preying on people's life fields. There's a little more, but I'll leave it at that. So the description kind of reminds me, with the use of Gothic, Alistair Reynolds books, but more so reminds me of Peter Watt's Blind Sight, as that has vampires, it's very Gothic feeling. It just sounds interesting. So I might give that a try. It's published by Hart Davis McGibbon London, and I love their little publisher logos, a little fox. I really like that. I have a couple random signed books here. This is not an author I've read. Richard A. Lupoff, The Forever City. Author of Circumpolar and Countersolar. It is a signed first edition. think I read the synopsis and was not all that impressed. Illustrated by Bob Eagleton too, that's cool. So a first from 1987. See if I can find any illustrations. Oh yeah. Total random here. Alison Sinclair's Cavalcade. It is science fiction, not an author I've heard of. I just grabbed it because it's signed and was, $1. Might be able to pass it along to someone who's more interested than me. Or I might hold on to it. It's from 98. Published by Millennium, who also have a great little logo there of an ant. We're getting down to the bottom. I have A Spectre is Haunting Texas by Fritz Leiber, one of his better-known novels, I think. We just read The Best of Fritz Leiber, Richard, Ira, and I. You can see that video on Richard's channel, Vintage SF. But check out the cover art. This is about a guy from either the moon or Mars, I can't remember, visiting Earth. So the USA is kind of just Texas now. And I think some of the nations down south are kind of subservient and they're kind of starting a rebellion. This guy from either the moon or Mars comes to Earth. He has to wear an exoskeleton because of the gravity. And this is a great depiction of, gravity and man. Very cool artistic take on it. I absolutely love that. But he comes to Earth and I think inadvertently gets involved in a revolution of some sort. But I love that. That is just, it's a book club. It's somebody's Ex Libris. I used to have those and then I kind of felt guilty for ruining books. It's from 1968 and I will be keeping it. Now, a couple things here. I have, this was long ago recommended by Stephen Andrews, possibly some others, because I like history and stuff, especially Babylon and older stuff like this. So this is Robert Silverberg's Gilgamesh the King, which I've been trying to find. Don't really like that it's a hardcover, but that's fine. It's somewhat of a retelling of Gilgamesh, which I also found not Subterranean Press, a Folio Society copy of. Absolutely beautiful. I have, like I've said, a bit of a history book collection that are Folio Societies. I don't know if I'll keep this one, but really awesome. But more excited about this, obviously. I'm looking forward to reading this as it's been recommended. I imagine it's the first edition from Arbor House. Yeah, first edition from 1984. Pretty cool. All right, we're getting right down to the end. Only 2 authors left, I believe. This is Paul Anderson's Brainwave, also recommended by Stephen Andrews and a few others. I already have it. I just thought this might be a better copy. It's not. I like the older copy that I have much more. And that brings me to a little stack of Jack Vance here, which I'm quite excited about these. Jack Vance can be hard to find. I have a growing collection of his books, but I have not read much. I read the first Dying Earth book, which I did not mind. I have an omnibus of those. Something else from Ace Books. I read a couple of those. I've enjoyed his stuff. There's others I've started and stopped a couple times, couldn't get into them. Here's a short story collection from Ballantine. It's Future Tense from 1964. It's 4 short stories with a, I believe, Richard Powers cover art. But there's some really cool things coming up here. We have the trilogy of Durdain here, The Enemy, Jack Vance. I might not have these in the correct order. An Odyssey of Adventure and something on the world of Dardane. It's pretty cool. The Brave Free Men. This is a copy I just showed off in a recent book haul. They had this here, but I didn't pick it up. Or they had it at the sale. I should have picked it up, actually, because this is not in as good condition as these other two, but since I already had it, that's the second book. And then the third, the Asutra. These are all from Dell. Look at that awesome cover. We might open this one up. First of all, it's got the teal text block. I love that. Like an uncracked spine. Although it definitely feels like it's been opened and read a few times. This is published in 73. But this printing is from 74. I was trying to see if we had credit for the cover artist, but I don't think so. And the story originally appeared in Fantasy Science. Yeah, the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. I don't think we have credit for the artist, but I was really excited to find the two of those, having just found the middle book a couple weeks earlier. We've got some ace doubles here. Big Planet, which I had an ugly trade paperback copy that the dog absolutely eviscerated when we first got him, which was frustrating, but I don't miss that big ugly book. And this one is awesome. This is in excellent condition for a book from the 50s. Let me just check. I think it was 57 or so. Yeah, 1957, copyright 1952 by Standard Magazines. Incredible spine. And on the other side, of course, the Slaves of the Clow. Not so big on that cover art, but that's excellent. And of course, no credit for the artists, but another one here. I'm going to open this. We have Jack Vance, The Brains of Earth, but I was more excited for The Many Worlds of Magnus Ridolf, the man who masterminded the planets. Now, I read a review that the short stories that this character is involved in are reminiscent of Poul Anderson's Van Ryn character, who I did not like. Similar to a kind of early Han Solo, and someone else who, whatever the character was, I have read them before. So I'm curious about this. I like when there's like a guy who knows it all and travels around solving intergalactic issues. I don't know if that's what it is, but it sounds like it. And just incredible, awesome vintage cover art by Jack Gahn. This is from 66. Yeah, that's just awesome. And again, the spine is creased on this one, but pretty good shape. And the last one I have, it is an ace, but it's not a double. I believe it's the second book in the Dying Earth series. It's The Eyes of the Overworld, Quest at the End of Time, and it is incredible. Look at that cover art. An ace book for 45 cents, and ultimately, I mean, it's not in terrible shape. It feels brittle, but it's so cool. Also from 1966 with the cover art by Jack Gahn. And similar to DAW books, you sometimes get a little illustration. And that's it. That is the book haul, aside from, you know, some other history books I bought with the intention of passing along. But it was the highlight of the year. I've been looking forward to I didn't think I'd be going this year, but my plans changed, and yeah, it was pretty good. Last year I went, it was day 3, and I still came home with probably the best book haul of that year. So it was really good. I look forward to it next year. Now the arduous task of sorting these into the keep pile, the put on the shelf pile, the go into storage pile, the donate pile, the sell pile. But I enjoy it, so that'll take up a few days. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a good one. Thanks for watching as always, and see you in the next one.